Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the...
Not much time. Won't even say what's in it. I tried to make it as readable as possible, but almost all of it has been lost. I tried to transcribe it from an old M-disk. If possible, I'll do more. I set it to expire in 1 day, so there's a time limit to grab it. Read at your own risk. What is it, a nonce? Augmented reality sci-fi. Here's a sample. These creatures are biological in character. Though some in the CST believe they have spiritual characteristics, G3401 Azea50 Hockno believe that the mantis analogs are largely a forgery, and are not to be found among real-time 6FTHE. Relationship with religious beliefs remains unknown. Certain associations with the Book of Revelation in the New Teg Satan redact will not comment on the implications for world religions, given the input fro 1/2 RKs in U0 year OC 1 of 1 AAC degree IOEEI 30 AFU 3/4 degree 4 CG AZ equals Hokoio $. Other than these, few other intelligence units 1/2 0 \GHOEEI U YB. Let me take a crack at it. Poorly encoded transcripts from a briefing on aliens from an unknown intel agency. Aliens are real and have several different civilizations/species. Aliens are ultimately biological, but also seem to have spiritual/demonic aspects. Aliens were formerly thought to be invincible, with unimaginable technology, yet they seem to crash their spaceships and be killable. There are cases where US ground troops have encountered and killed aliens in firefights. This explained by something called the theory of biorecursion. TBR. Put forth by some classified scientific team. All life and all systems of information inevitably decline and decay. Even advanced forms of it, so they can be killed with the right counters. Spooks are gearing up for an open, global conflict with the ILMAO. There are several known groups, which relate to species known to the UFO/conspiracy community for a long time. Greys, Nordics, reptilians. There was some operation in Antarctica where a hostile alien species was encountered, genetically engineered. This is what I pieces together. Honestly, it seems elaborate for a LARP, and it lines up with a lot of other ideas in the UFO community, and explains a lot about why ILMAOs might crash their ships despite being space magicians compared to us. And, MF-35 shot down a UFO near Ely, Nevada, a place known to have involvement with UFOs already. Several people went missing. Somebody else help me out on figuring all the info in this thing. 9 different species of ET6, reptilians, capable of sexual reproduction with human specimens. We're so fucked, guys, literally. Everyone who criticizes my schizophrenia works for the government. Get the fuck off my board. Mental illness is the opposite of paranormal. 0 Cas Element 115 Muscovium 0 Sevfrom 547th Intelligence Squadron were also given to certain teams within the Office of Naval Intelligence, who had more experience with craft. Redact believed some inter-service cooperation and intelligence sharing will be required. Element 115, Naval Intelligence and Craft, this will be great fun, worth reading. Fucking Nordics and Mantoids, dude. References to demons and the Bible, as if everyone in an American intel agency are Christian? You actually think that fucking crap is true? Let me put it this way. If the CIA themselves handed this to me and I worked for them, I still wouldn't believe it until they had photos and opened up all evidence to public scientific scrutiny. Please go back to your succubus containment thread. Why are you so angry? Isn't the whole board mostly LARP? And your signal boosting grush as some monument, which is very obvious glowy tear shit. Look at the posters, clearly more than one guy bumping, but you're exceptionally seething, hating on UFO lore except the most glowing source of it. Strange fucking Nordics and Mantoids, dude. References to demons and the Bible, as if everyone in an American intel agency are Christian? You mean where it says mantoids are fake? And have you read Jacques Vallée? He's not religious, but he came to similar conclusions. It also mentions Oswald Spengler. You just seem to be a little glowing, Anon. Sweet Jesus, you are gonna outglow the sun, save some for the other fed bois. Did the aliens hurt you? Just noting that M-Disk is designed for long-term archival, they don't degrade just by being old. They are not some floppy disk from the 70s. Add to this that files of this classification would be encrypted on the M-Disk. If the data were impacted by the optical disk being scratched, the decryption key would not correctly function. The snippet mentions conflict in Ukraine, implying the file is less than a year old. But effort was made. The mantis aren't real tidbit is an obvious attempt at misinformation. Overall, it's a fun LARP. I'm getting the head pressure, which is a sign of ET contact, from reading this leak. It's real. This text appears to be a scrambled mixture of structured and random elements. However, from the legible portions, we can infer that this could be a document pertaining to some sort of intelligence briefing or Operation Point 1. Personnel from DNI, Director of National Intelligence, are mentioned, possibly related to non-critical information. Point 2. Some sort of specimens or biological entities are mentioned that could potentially be harmful to alien species. There is a mention of element 115 muscovium, which could be related to the examination or research of these specimens. Point 3. The Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI, appears to be involved, indicating that this document could be related to military or naval operations. Certain information is specified as being for critical recipients only. Point 4. The conflict in Ukraine is mentioned, indicating a possible geopolitical context. Point 5. A reference to the 547th Intelligence Squadron, a unit of the United States Air Force. Point 6. A link to religious beliefs or spiritual characteristics is mentioned, with reference to the Book of Revelations in the New Testament and potential implications for world religions. This connection is not clearly defined and remains unknown. Point 7. Some creatures are mentioned, referred to as biological in character, but believed to possess spiritual characteristics. There's also mention of mantis analogs and their authenticity is disputed. Point 8. Intelligence cooperation with China is hinted at. Point 9. A crisis situation is mentioned, referred to as Operation Iceberg, which apparently led to the loss of several teams. There's mention of a department called DEPB 3.10. The document includes references to Antarctica, suggesting a location or point of interest. Point 11. There are references to an expedition facing difficulty due to the harsh cold environment. Point 12. It mentions biological analogs, indicating that the creatures being referred to have comparable characteristics to known biological entities. The text seems to be discussing an emergent situation, involving various intelligence departments, including the 547th Intelligence Squadron and the Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI, dealing with what appears to be non-human entities, possibly extraterrestrial. The situation is deemed so critical that the information might be released to the public if a crisis becomes unavoidable. Information is shared via physical M-disks to prevent cyber attacks. The concept of theory of biorecursion, TBR, is introduced, which suggests that all discrete systems, be it biological or informational, age and disintegrate over time due to accumulated errors. This applies to DNA, manuscripts, civilizations, and even the advanced technology of the entities being dealt with. The TBR is used to suggest that superior intelligence and technology offer diminishing returns and that all systems have weaknesses. The text also discusses military interactions with these entities, mentioning that once defenses and weaknesses were understood, human forces were able to shoot down several of the entities' crafts. Furthermore, the text introduces a civilian scientific team, CST, which proposes theories regarding the nature of the entities. The entities are described as biological, and some are believed to have spiritual characteristics. The entities are categorized into different groups, termed as ET1, ET3, ET5, and ET6, each displaying different characteristics and levels of hostility. Lastly, the text hints at possible connections between these entities and ancient texts, historical interpretations, and religious beliefs. Some of these entities are related to religious beliefs or mythologies, like demonic possession, or references from the Book of Revelation in the New Testament. Please note that due to the fragmented and disrupted nature of the text, this summary may not capture all details or context. This text describes a situation where an F-35 managed to shoot down a saucer, possibly an extraterrestrial craft, near Ely, Nevada. The text suggests that these unidentified crafts do not seem to possess an analog to human weapons of mass destruction. The successful takedown of the craft indicates that at least part of our air forces is capable of combating these entities, despite their seemingly advanced technology. It's mentioned that the crafts are prone to errors, many of which are believed to be operator errors. Understanding of a process involving element 115 allowed for the creation of a countermeasure which the so-called ET3s have not been able to disrupt yet. The situation is compared to historical scenarios where technologically superior forces were defeated by inferior ones, such as the Spanish conquistadors by the Aztecs. However, the text indicates that the specific extenuating circumstance of disease, which played a significant role in the Spanish conquest, is not believed to be relevant in this situation. Additionally, there is a mention of the theory of biorecursion, TBR, which posits that information and its interpretation can be lost over time, regardless of whether the physical records themselves survive. This idea is linked to the current scenario, though the specifics are not clear due to text fragmentation. The crisis, presumably involving extraterrestrial entities, has escalated following the loss of several teams during Operation Iceberg. The situation appears severe enough that DEPB-3 is preparing for an event comparable to a global war, largely anticipated to take place in air and space, but with significant groundwork being laid for a terrestrial contingency. Human forces, including soldiers from the 101st Contingents and Marines from the USMC's Force Recon, face an advanced, forward-operating alien force. Despite heavy casualties, these forces have managed to eliminate dozens of ET-3s and engaged in over 400 confirmed incidents with ET-3s, ET-6s, and ET-9s. These encounters are not detailed in this document, but it is suggested that tactical success is possible, albeit to be approached with extreme caution. Previous beliefs held these extraterrestrial entities as separate species, but new intelligence suggests that different species may cluster together into civilization types, possibly in conflict with each other. These civilization clusters may be dominated by either a majority species type or a minority elite type, with varying degrees of interest in humanity and its affairs. The document hints at a range of extraterrestrial, ET, entities, including ET5, which has been related to element 115 Muscovium and may be capable of sexual reproduction with human specimens. On the other hand, certain ETs, possibly encountered during Operation Iceberg, are believed to be genetically engineered, as they display rapid aggression but also have significantly short lifespans. A particular type of ET might have fin-like blades made of a substance similar to baleen found in whales. The Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI, suggests that nuclear weaponry might not be a part of ET arsenal, which leads to a belief that humanity is dealing with a forward operation force, rather than a larger contingent. However, a conflict with these ETs is now deemed inevitable. Interestingly, certain elements suggest a potential relationship between these ETs and the 115th element, Muscovium. As human understanding of element 115 processes improves, the ET3s, another ET category, seem less able to disrupt them. The elites in charge wouldn't act the way they do if the threat of extraterrestrial conflict was real. All this almost shit smells like a psyop to distract us from the NATO summit on July 11, so there is little discussion of dissent when NATO declares war on Russia. There was a Nobodit video a while back that had a clip similar to what you are describing. Like you stated, the first thing I thought of was, holy fuck, that's the all-seeing EYE.to. Go further, the black eye ritual makes a little more sense if you look at it from the eye angel. People think that they get punched in the eye socket, which leaves the black eye. But, what if it's an alien parasite that enters the body through the eye and infects the host? They are now one of them, they are chosen, they are like their creator, they also become part of the hive mind. Pic related. If this isn't a LARP and real, I have not fully prepared yet, needed about 1 more year. Oh well, let's let it ride. Actual ET saucers are quantum computers, they literally move through realities. They're basically time machines, absolutely nothing could be gleaned from one by humans. The triangle that flies like a plane is human tech, triangle that rotates and has a harasser UFO in tow is human tech, cigar is human tech, so are the saucers. And most of the spheres are faked. Most learned spiritual gurus high on DMT couldn't pilot those things. Not unless you're able to enter a state of absolute unary being at will and stay there.
You're a smart fellow.
Saturdays for the boys. You can watch movies with the tribe on depleted uranium drive-in theater Saturday afternoons at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on Twitch TV.
Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.